Step number 3, build relationships. You'll hear this on every podcast from every high profile person to people that are wise and giving us business advice and life advice. Relationships are the key to it all. So really,
welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
How would you like to make your first million? Today we have Emily Reynolds joining from New York, and she's the founder of our public relations. So Emily, tell us, what are the 5 steps you recommend entrepreneurs in order to make the first million?
Oh, I love this question, first and foremost, Harry, because often we think, it just comes easily and you just have this big idea and then everything's just going to happen. But I would say the first and foremost step is build a story worth talking about. So you want to create buzz, you want to create kitchen table conversations, you want people to remember not only who you are, the brand and the mission and the essence of what lit you up to get this idea and your business out there to begin with. Every successful business that I've worked with for over 17 years at this point knows how to tell their story and has either worked with a professional to really build that or has really just a knack for sharing the essence of what their business is about and what is going to be catchy to somebody to remember it and say, oh, I know Harry, he's phenomenal and he brings entrepreneurs together and creates remarkable steps for people to know how to make millions. So it's a catchy phrase, but it's also enhancing to a conversation. Step 2 is you have to be an expert. Do not be shy. Be an expert in what you are creating. Everybody is an expert in something. This is not everybody gets a trophy. This is different. Everyone has something that makes them special, that gives them credibility, that they are really good at. And probably if you talk to your friends and family, they're going to tell you right away what that is. If you don't know, enhance that. Your perspective, weave it into industry trends and predictions, get data, get all the information you can to know and to build that credibility as you as the expert. Authority creates opportunity. Step number 3, build relationships. You'll hear this on every podcast from every high profile person to people that are wise and giving us business advice and life advice. Relationships are the key to it all. So really not transactional, not, people that you just think you should know. Build them with journalists, build them with podcast hosts, build them with community leaders. Have people know what you do, what you are an expert in, what your story is, and build your network and relationships around that. Spend time, have coffee, do handshakes. Do not just have emails and digital relationships. Really make relationships the core, no matter what. If you're an introvert, doesn't matter. Do your best. Even if you have really solid small base, it will grow because of how impactful you'll make those relationships. Step number 4, show up consistently. You'll hear this from every major entrepreneur. They show up early, they stay late, they're consistent, they are consistent. That is not just one article, that's not just one type of thing that you're sharing on your outlets. Consistency will help you build your relationships, but will also build trust with your teams and with whatever community you're working in. Step 5, turn your visibility somehow into revenue. What does that mean? Many businesses miss this opportunity. They think that their visibility is just something that they either have to do or they don't give it credit. So similar to, being on a podcast or being in, on your social media channels, really see how that weaves into your website, how that builds into more information about your business. In this day and age with AI, a lot of our clients don't even know this, but some of their blogs on their website is turning into credibility, thought leader expertise because AI is tracking them and reading it and then sharing it with somebody looking for somebody in their industry. So everything matters, and it should be weaving into some call to action that converts into some sort of revenue build. Everything, including relationships, including your community, including everything we just spoke about, really can turn into a revenue if you do it wisely. And if you need some help, you have many experts that you can find that can help you do that.
Emily,
That's
the
it.
biggest, yes, I think that
Yeah.
that's fantastic, by the way. And the biggest challenge of every business out there is to get the word out. Is
Yes.
the most difficult thing, and especially a lot of startups, our listeners, right? They want to get to the first million in sales, which is actually the worst million, right? But
Yeah.
even that one, 80% of them never get it at all, right? It starting
Yep.
out, and one of the main reasons that this happens, I see wonderful pros out there, wonderful teams, but they put time, resources, and energy in have a better product. So they become fans with the product. In my product is good, it will sell by itself, and people will find out. And it's not really how it actually works. Especially, we always said, I'm a big fan of PR, and I always said to a founder or a tech founder or to any founder, if you're starting out, the first thing that you can do is PR, because this is something that you can leverage the authority. I don't know if you go in a magazine, if you go in a blog, if wherever that story, that publication goes, you can leverage that authority, because they always tell me, Harry, my product is good, but nobody knows me. No,
Right.
nobody believes me, right? And then you want to
Yeah.
get in front of an strategic partnership. We have those conversations. How can I become a partner with Meta or with these big companies if I'm really smaller? These people won't get in front of me. These people won't hear me. Well, if you use PR as a tool and you can leverage your story and get credibility, right? Even
Mhm.
being smaller, you have a chance. Whether if you have an amazing product and when they type your name and they type who you are and what's your story, they only find nothing, then of course they're not going to believe you. So Emily, what is your advice for our founders that they put in time, money, energy, they're raising funds, finance, asking to the relatives to put some money, but all this money comes to, okay, let's have a better product, uh, let's uh, let's hire I don't know, a good accountant, let's hire and I think that starting out, I mean, getting the first million, it's a sales and marketing exercise, and it's a branding exercise. How your story. You don't even need to have, in my opinion, a good product in order to make the first million. So, what advice you have for our startup founders that use the resources in different ways, and then if they don't have enough credibility, the story is not there, if they don't have that leverage, the money is gone and the company is gone. And I see lots of companies like this kind of
Yeah.
disappear with
Yeah.
relationship.
That's
Okay,
yeah.
tell us.
I mean, I can say we worked with a very credible president of a brand, multi-million dollar brand, global brand.
Oh, wow.
If you Googled his name, you would see nothing before we started working together. If you Google his name today, we've worked together now, we're going on our
Wow.
second year. You see everything, and it wasn't false information or anything like that. It's like, he didn't see the value in sharing his credibility. Like, we go back to the steps that we just talked about. And to your point, Harry, if you don't do that, people will lose faith in who you are. A digital presence has so much more value than it did when our parents were, business or
Emily, I know people
just
that have sold 200 million. speakers that speak all over the world. They have sold over 200 million online, one of the greatest mentors, right? And I'm showing to some people, and they look and they said, no, this guy is no good. I cannot find
No, they
someone
don't
in the
trust you.
place. He doesn't have this. And I'm thinking, guys, different. He's good at telling you he has only 200 million, but they don't believe it. And it's incredible, right? I
Yeah, I mean,
experienced
he
this
probably could have
myself.
sold it. He probably
I
could have
said,
sold
look,
it
I
for
know this
400.
person personally. I'm telling you, I know this person personally. I know that he sold over 200 million online. He's one of the best mentors online in this planet. And they say, well, no, I'm looking and I don't think that. And I'm thinking, wow, this is unbelievable, right?
Yeah,
And
it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that this day and age
but
people
this is
would
how it
not
works.
give credit.
This is how it works. This is how it
It's
works.
how it
It is
works.
important.
Yeah,
It is important because how people that
yeah,
doesn't know you will know
correct,
about you if there is nothing about you out there. So it makes sense,
correct,
right?
correct. Yes, 100%.
So tell us
You
a little bit
always,
more
yeah.
about that story about the client that you were with, how you uh, embrace the conversation,
Well,
and tell us about the outcome because I know someone like this, which is already good at what they do, is kind of amplified big time. It open a new horizon, big deals, relationship. So tell us a little bit more about what is what is possible when you actually very good, we prove it on record, but you get your word out there, you get your brand out there, you get your story out there. What can happen to your business?
I mean, I don't think it's an A to B equals C, but to your point, Harry, it gives you credibility when you need it. So if you don't have it, there's a high probability you're losing revenue, you're losing equity, you're losing a lot of brand presence. If you want to eventually sell your business, you better shift that as soon as possible. If to your example, if somebody sold their business for 200 million, I would say they probably could have sold it for 400 if they had that brand presence. They probably didn't have as high a value in that sale, I would predict. Because there's people that sometimes call us and say, I'm looking for investors, I'm seeking, more, I'm doing a fundraise, and they need that credibility online to enhance and back and build their whatever their pitch is. And then we also have people similar to the client I shared before that, that brand, even though multi-million dollar brand, global brand, they got into some, I will say just, we do some crisis work in our organization, and we build reputations, we rebuild reputations, we help kind of with statements and all those kinds of things. And he had said to me, I think our business is losing money because there's just some things out there that we need to have cleared up. It's false information. And I was like, well, if you had had an online presence all along, this wouldn't have gotten to the narrative gotten spun out that isn't accurate and isn't who you are and who your business is. So it wasn't necessarily representing him, but it was representing the brand. And it, because he didn't have credibility, he didn't have, a journalist that then could seek him as a source and say, hey, can you weigh in on this? I read this or I heard about this. And so from a reputation standpoint, and we're seeing this more and more in our digital way of living and reading and receiving information, you need to have those online relationships just as much as your in-person handshakes and coffees and time together, lunches and those kinds of things for your business. So we've ended up really working hard on really establishing his credibility, and I'm happy to say it really has helped with his investor fundraising, the business itself, the morale internally with his staff. It's very much been a case study of from nothing to something, and with integrity and thought and credibility that has come from a place that really aligns with him as a human and as a leader.
Actually, Emily, when people sell the business, right, what you're selling is your brand.
Yeah.
The if you don't have that brand, if you don't have that story, this is what actually
Yeah.
gives value to to the business. If you have a business that doesn't have a brand, that, oh, this is how we operate, this is how we find clients, this is how we sell it. Um, the investor is looking for that brand that is already built. So what the
Yeah.
story behind that brand and all these large acquisitions that the companies because where is buying your business for 100 million is because they want to make a billion out of this, right? So it's looking to scale even further. So they need this solid
Yeah.
foundation. And if it's not there, exactly the valuation of the business can decrease, and sometimes they're not even sellable because uh, there is no brand. So when we always
Yes.
talk about with our founders, okay, we always tell them don't build a product, build a brand. Start from that concept because from that brand you can have an initial product, but because the product is always pivoting, as long as you are an expert in that space, you will come out with the right product, with the right expertise around this brand that you're building, right? That will be fit for the
Right.
market, and you will be ready to exit at any time. You will be ready to get funded at any time because this brand there is a story, there are some values, there are something there, and this is actually when you're selling the business what it was. Now, Emily, I want you to describe how the industry have changed because I remember 20 years ago when I started in business, I remember that wow, if we have an article of our business in the newspaper or in a magazine and covers of magazine, it was huge back in the day, and I remember it was amazing. We got even articles in the press, right? That
Yeah.
the journalists find the story, they like it, and then you get like kind of free publicity, right? And but nowadays it's digital in a digital way that we live now. How PR has evolved, and do you think that in this digital world that we are now, it has been going better or worse, or now before you only need to be in newspapers and in magazines, now you have to be in blogs, in everywhere as well in the press, in the printing press. So tell us about how have you seen the evolution of the industry, and now even with the use of AI in all this equation.
Yeah, I mean, AI is a great tool at this point. It has helped us do faster research, some competitor analysis. It's scouring the web at record speeds, which is so helpful for businesses to have accessibility. I think what AI isn't doing is everything we talked about in our steps. You know, AI is not helping you build brand trust. It's not making sure you're really connected on a personal level to your relationships and your community. AI is really savvy intern at this point that might be able to help with, you know, some admins, some ideas, bouncing some ideas. But the execution, I would say, is still in the hands of experts, and what you're needing for your brands in terms of PR is everything within the steps that we shared earlier, but also AI could help you build a strategy that you might share with your PR team. The PR team is going to execute that on a level that is, you know, because they're the experts. And so I think it's a fascinating time in our world and in my industry specifically. Just before this call, we talked as a team about what integration in PR looks like, the community partnerships, helping clients network, build relationships, connecting the dots for their brand to become and to maintain visibility. So while we're doing this as a PR company, because AI has really helped us with some initial research and some, you know, like I said, competitor analysis and some a little bit deeper dives into how we formulate our strategies. It's similar for our clients as well. So it's helping with some of that admin and then, but building the
I think
credibility.
yeah,
Yeah.
but getting the word out there have become more difficult than before, right? I remember before your article, the business you're in the newspaper or in a magazine. Wow, you have a lot of leads, you have a lot of things. Now is so much going on out there that you actually have to be very strategic and specific in order to make
Yeah.
this effective, right? And
Yeah,
also
for sure.
the article writing, this is something that we are in our company when we're gonna write an article. We make sure, yeah, we use AI to guide us, and but it still has to be this original content out there because
Correct.
the people, if
Yeah,
it's fluff, they don't read it. It has to be high
correct.
quality content. And before the broadcast, I saw you typing. I'm like, wow, Emily, you're a writer. I can tell because you type really fast. So, what do you
Yeah.
think about this original content versus an article? Of course, you're an expert, right? And you can say very quickly if the article have been written for a professional, have been written with AI, right? You can see. But even those platforms out there, out the Facebook and all these Googles and everything, they are looking more and more for original content. And if you have like AI articles written by AI and things like that, those algorithms can identify even the watermarks, and they say, "Oh, he did it using ChatGPT, so it's no original content is being used with this, so I'm gonna give less exposure." So, what is really
Correct.
happening in terms of original content versus shall we do as entrepreneurs a mix of both, or shall we uh, like you described, work with the professional in the things that AI cannot do, which is that core story, that brand, that mission, that principle, who you really are, what's your competitive advantage, where you different in the marketplace, what
Right.
content you should be creating, with publication you should be. And then maybe after you have the clarity of this, maybe you can use the thing to help you out, or how do you think the
Yeah.
presentation?
I think you can definitely, like, similar to when I'm looking at, hiring somebody for my home, or, I kind of look through AI, I look through Google, I kind of see if there's similarities. And AI can definitely help you get some preliminary questions to ask if you're hiring a PR firm. AI can definitely help you make sure you include this in your strategy. Like I said, it's a very savvy, maybe not very, but a savvy, just out of college assistant. So you still need to guide it, you still need to train it, you still need to monitor it, you still need to feed it the information, but it can help you with the preliminary work, so that way when you go to hire a firm or you go to represent your brand, if you're going to do it yourself, you have that preliminary work done. And I would say that that's where it's at right now, and I'm sure it's going to keep growing. My kids might say, Mom, that can't believe you were at the beginning, your career was in the beginning of AI, and now look at what's transpired over the course of 20 years. And that's so exciting. I mean, I 20 years ago, we didn't even imagine what AI could be,
Oh
other
yeah,
than the
in
Jetsons.
my English is not my first language, so imagine for me to write an article used to take me like 2 weeks. I had to
Yeah.
write it, then I had to find someone that speak English to translate it, then I had to read it, then it's not exactly what I want to say. So back
Mhm.
and forward 2 weeks. Then Emily, but I'm glad that you told something very important. Like for example, and this is a challenge that we have with entrepreneurs. Okay, if you're gonna go to a restaurant, what you do? You type the name of the restaurant in Google and you type it out there and you see how many reviews, what people saying about this restaurant. And even before you go and spend, I don't know, not that much, $30, $50, $100 for a meal with a colleague. Now you go to Google, you go to wherever, even you go to ChatGPT and you're looking about this restaurant, about this thing. If you're gonna hire a hotel to go on holidays, everybody goes and look in Google. Let me see this hotel and everything, how it looks, what people are saying about this hotel, what the story, shall I go, shall I not go? And we search and we search and we search when we want to buy something, right?
Right.
Especially if it's an experience. And then as entrepreneur, we have a product. People are, well, they don't have any online presence. They don't have any uh, story out there. And if you reverse engineer, well, if the clients are the prospect are thinking to buy from you, and especially this high ticket, okay, and you charging a lot of money for your product and service, well, client's gonna do exactly the same when they put in a hotel or they're gonna fly or restaurant. They're gonna look you up. And what they found, I always said, if you confuse them, you lose them. If when they type your name, your service, they find out there something that um is not is not consistent, the message is not clear, then you confuse
Consistency.
them. If you confuse them, you lose them.
Yep.
So we
Consistency.
have I
Yes.
have big challenge communicating this to founders, to business owners, even those ones. You can find people. One of my clients, he's a CEO of over 300 supermarkets.
Oh, wow.
So big. And of course, he has been in business over 30 years. And he's the only CEO that this supermarket chain has. And I'm telling you, big operation. Like he mind the product from the supermarket. The supermarket have their own brand. Get
Yeah.
shipping those products to 42 different countries. So he sell more than his own label of the product. So it's a big operation. But yet he was telling me, we have a conversation with him, exactly same like your colleague. I said, look, maybe in the 80s, in the 90s, okay, you can hide behind your business as the CEO, as the founder, and it's going to be fine. In today's environment, it's totally different. Today, you need to have that personal brand out there, aligned with your corporate brand, because the clients are getting more savvy. They want to know who you are. They want to know what's the values.
Yep.
They want to know more about the person they're buying from, especially in an operation bigger like that. They want to know if you recycle. You know, recycle. You have kids if you don't. So they want to know more about the founder behind the brand. And it was not necessarily that important back on the day. As I remember, back on the day, you have your corporate brand, and you as a person, you have behind the brand, you don't have a personal brand, and it works fantastic. And he's used to that format, and now times have changed. The other time he told me, Harry, I'm speaking in Harvard, Harvard graduate, and now he's speaking in Harvard, so he's doing PR, the publication, sending me the photos and speaking on the stage, things like that. And now his
Yeah.
brand giving a lot of opportunities. He's actually got invited to speak in Harvard because he started to work on that side of it, which is something that he understood that business has evolved, and now more than ever he had to work on that. So as we speak today, how important in business do you think, which is not only the corporate brand but the alignment with the personal brand, and how all this story goes together in order to especially scale? I think that we want to scale, that we want market share, where somebody else have this size of the market, unless that you create your own market. So now, if you're gonna penetrate the market that is already populated, you want to share of that market, the branding, the story, the personal brand, the all that um, can lead the way for you to get bigger market share. So how do you think the importance of branding and personal branding today versus when you started? You look very young to me. You said that you're doing this 17 years.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So tell us, have you seen the importance of PR and personal brand along the years have become more and more relevant, or do you think they have lost protagonism?
Yeah. I mean, I think personal brands have always been important because we have celebrities, we have people that have been, for ages, Cleopatra, there's names of people and places throughout history that are a personal brand. And the more and more the businesses have developed a brand, Like Uber. It's like people might not know Uber's CEO, but people know the word Uber. So there's like brands that kind of stand alone because they've built their credibility as a brand. Then there's brands that have a CEO and a brand name or thought leaders within the brand. My recommendation is always, always, no matter if you are Uber or whatever brand that has a recognizable standalone name, to build credibility within the brand, because don't rest on the fact that your brand has credibility. Look at Peloton, the evolution of Peloton. They've had brand damage. They've had, people, they've had, crisis. They've had all of these different kinds of things happen as a brand. And what keeps them strong, if you ask people that are familiar with that brand, is the instructors. They build their own personal brands within the brand. You go take Cody Rigsby's class or Ali Love's class, or people that you're like, oh, they're part of the Peloton community, but they also have personal brands. I think that's a great example of, because they've built that infrastructure of building personal brands within a brand, it's helped mitigate some problems that they probably would have had if they would have been a standalone brand. Now, that is to
That's
say
really
that,
powerful.
Yeah.
Very clever.
Yeah. So I think obviously in my opinion, there's not a one size fits all, because if you're Cleopatra, you don't really need to have everybody in your court to be known, but I do think this day and age, people want to know who you're working with, your associations. They want to know your relationships. They want to know your credibility. And they want to stand behind brands that have those people building something strong and that they trust. And now everybody is an internet sleuth. Everybody is, giving opinions on every kind of brand because of the nature of networking that we've built online and online relationships. And so it's really important to make sure that, brands have that type of credibility internally. And those interwoven interrelationships are very important.
Exactly. And people won't buy, not everybody will buy from you. And if you want the people to buy from you, right? Those clients, they're going to have kind of your same culture and your same values. That's the main reason that they're buying from you. So if that is defined, you can have an alignment not only with clients, but also with employees, right? A lot of companies out there have the toxic culture, and it's not good people or bad people. The problem is that the CEO and the founders have a culture, and when it's a culture mismatch is when the friction comes into the organization, right? Like, for example, in my company, we have a culture that we're doing a lot of big things, but we are very little, very few people in terms of the operation. So our team is used to be a 360. Like even this podcast, I want to say, I told them I want to do the one podcast, and they told me, Harry, what's that? I said, I don't know. They told me, so we don't know. And this is how we started. And look, today we interview 500 millionaires. So the whole point of the story is that they didn't tell me, Harry, I don't know. This is not my job. We're not going to do this. So they say, okay, you want a podcast? You don't know what is it. I don't know either. Give us 3 weeks. We will find out what is it that you want to do. And after 3 weeks, I remember they go back and they told me, Harry, just record the video and upload to Dropbox. That's it. You don't have to touch it. It go to your social media. It goes this, it goes that, will be edited. This is the only thing you want to do. We got you. We got the rest. We already built the website. We integrate everything that needs to be integrated. And it's going to, but also because in the culture, they know me. They know if they're going to give me a task, they have to be minimum. So that's how it works. But this is because of the culture that I have already in
that you created,
my organization, and the clients and the people that we attract, right? However, if could be another company that have a different culture, that they are more job skill oriented, well, that person fit there. It just won't fit in my organization. and there is nothing wrong. No, it's not. No, it's good or bad. It's a mismatch of culture, and this comes from employees and also for the clients as well, right?
Yeah.
We find out that companies that do social responsibility, for example, that they do recycle and they put that in the press, in the PR, and they communicate effectively. We find out that they have more loyalty of the clients they have, and also
Hmm.
the employees that want to work with them, they even prefer to get less money and work in a company that is donated to charity, that is doing social responsibility, rather than go to another company that this is not clear, and yeah, you get a lot of money, but there is no clear mission, and they feel like they make a lot of money, but they are not contributing to society. So either way, you need to have clarity in who you are, what's your story, what's your value, what's your brand, in order to attract the kind of people. So Emily, is somebody is in love with this conversation? How people can find you? How this process work? Do you only work from people from New York, or you work with people from everywhere? Or
We're
how it
we are
works?
a national agency. We work
Very
all
good.
over the country. We have offices in Nashville, New York, on Austin, and San Antonio,
Oh
and
wow.
we can be found on online. You can find me at RPR Firm on Instagram, RPR and then Firm, and you can shoot us a DM, and we'll get in touch with you. We'll happily give you some advice or connect the dots in some way, and would love to help you represent your personal brand, your brand, get networking going, and get some brand credibility with journalists, media outlets, and smart relationships.
Which is for me is really powerful, especially if you're
Yeah.
starting out. Not only is you starting out, and also if you want to scale around the
Yeah.
way that authority in the marketplace is again, Emily, and we have to do this. There's a lot of people told me, Harry, you're always on the press because you like to be in the magazine, so you would like to be in the newspaper. I said, no, it's because I'm in business.
Yeah,
We are in
exactly.
business, so this is the
Yeah.
reason we're doing this, right? We're not
Yeah.
doing this because we want to be in the press, or we want to be famous, or we want to be this. This is part of the business, and actually a very
Correct.
important part, because when you're gonna sell it, you will find out how important it is. When somebody come and say, "Well, I don't want to pay you that much because there is no brand equity in this," and look, how come if I'm selling this, I have this revenue, I have this, and people won't devalue your business just because the brand is no is not strong, it's not doesn't have equity, and they feel that they're looking something to a brand to scale, right? Because
Yeah.
operation this and that, they know how to do it. What they're looking is that brand that I can take from 100 million to a billion, or from 10 million to 100 million, or things like this. Emily,
Yeah.
I think you're great. You're so clever. Yeah. Well
You too,
done.
Harry. Thank
Congratulations. You
you.
have so many offices. Good for you. Yeah. So
Thank you.
thank you so much. And for all of you following the podcast, our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneurs like Emily break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now. Bye.
Bye.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.